We hate it! You already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Bobby.
The Alliance blog, the Alliance blog, the Alliance blog, the Alliance blog. Alliance? If you put an S in front of Alliance, you have Alliance. That's me.
Hey guys, check this out. I am officially now sponsored by Dubby. Dubby is a clean energy drink made to give you focus with no crash. If you guys are like me, you're always needing a burst of energy, especially with one with no crash. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. It keeps me awake with no jitters, guys. Check it out. Merch link is in the bio. Dubby.
Why are you excited to be here tonight?
Because I'm just excited.
Yeah. No other explanation. Now, I do believe, tell me the truth. Is it true that your dad has a ringside seat but didn't get you guys ringside seats?
That is true, but it's because of his YouTube channel, okay? It's his YouTube, okay?
Her dad's an influencer. Let him go, guys. But your dad's awesome, right?
Yeah.
See, he's awesome! Yeah! Give it up for Claire. Thank you so much, Claire. High five. Yeah!
Test. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Alliance blog presentation of the pre-party. Get that camera up a little bit. Presentation of alliance-wrestling.com. This is the pre-party. Let's get it right, damn it. This is the pre-party. This is the unofficial pre-show of NWA POWERRR. My name is J-Cal, and each and every Tuesday, I come to you, the hashtag NWA fam, to talk all things National Wrestling Alliance. It's me. It's a couple of championship belts. It's the Alliance Bear. Hell, we even got Blue Demon Jr. in the house. And we're here to talk to you about all things NWA, like I said. And what a doozy, man. Have you watched POWERRR yet? The temptation is there. I get it. It drops at 7 in the morning. I understand if you want to go over to the CW app and check it out and watch what happened. But we're always here to talk about it, and we do the pre-show, the unofficial pre-show, because we're not really associated with the NWA. And although we have never been officially a pre-show for POWERRR, we've been doing a pre-show for POWERRR for the past 5 years. So I'm always happy to have you here. I know I've got a few viewers in the chat. Sound off if you want me to say what's up. But I see Willie Bowen's in the house, and Willie says, "Hey, J-Cal, Tyrus is in therapy. He must learn how to resist Popeye's chicken." That is very hard. How do you resist Popeye's chicken? I am looking for endorsements, Popeyes. So if you would like to sponsor this Rinky Dink podcast, please, by all means, call your boy Jay. Popeyes is good, man. Kakushi's here. Hey, Willie, tell Tyrus to eat Popeyes at Glassboro. That will cure his addiction. Oh, no. See, when I was out in Glassboro, and I didn't get to meet you when I was there, Kakushi, but when I was out in Glassboro, we avoided the local chains, the national chains, excuse me. We only ate at local franchises, local restaurants, and I was very happy with that. Again, this is the pre-party, and I guess we should get into the whole NWA thing, right? Because that's why we're here. Of course, the National Wrestling Alliance making a lot of moves, a lot of contract signings. I mean, we've talked at length about some of the contracts that have been made over the past few months. Just a quick rundown. I mean, you have the tag team champions, Blunt Force Trauma, the TV champions, Max the Impaler, the women tag team champions, and the King Beez. We've got Natalia Markova. We have Brian Idol. We have Slade. Of course, former junior heavyweight champion Colby Carino, Carson Drake, Eric Smalls, Reka, Tehaka signed a contract. Her on-again, off-again tag team partner recently was announced as signing a contract, Tiffiany, Nieves, and of course, the Slime Balls, all under contract now with the NWA. And I guess what that means is that galvanization of the roster. We're seeing more and more talents being exclusively inked. Now, I still don't know what that means. I still don't have a definition of what they mean by exclusive, because as we see, there are a lot of these wrestlers on different rosters for different wrestling companies. We know that Slade will be appearing soon for the October 18th Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators event in Pennsville, New Jersey. So that's an instance we know that that contract isn't exactly exclusive, but maybe more so to kind of keep that talent from being poached by some of the bigger organizations like, you know, TNA, MLW, the AEW, of course, the WWE. And, you know, I don't know if that's necessarily a good move or a bad move. I think ideally you want to keep your talent locked up. Now, we did see the two biggest surprises, I guess, maybe only one surprise, because I'll be honest, with Misa Kate not re-signing, we hadn't seen her at an episode of Power for a while. And recently I read an interview where she had mentioned that she hadn't been invited to a television taping in quite some time. And of course, Joe Alonzo losing the NWA World Junior Heavyweight Championship in Chicago recently to Alex Taylor was kind of another sign that perhaps maybe he wasn't going to be re-signing. So it'll be interesting what the roster looks like as we march to the 76th anniversary show. And of course, I'll be there. Your boy Jake Cal will be there. The design is in its final stages. We will have a Alliance Wrestling Summit shirt that will be available to all of you members of the Alliance. Just get me your shirt size, and I'll make sure that I have a shirt for you when we all meet up in Philly for the 76. Some news coming out of the NWA is that officially today they announced, and I don't have a graphic for it, so I apologize, but Hollywood Haley J has been announced for the NWA 76 roster. Now, what her role will be as we approach 76 is a bit of a mystery, an enigma, if you will, because there was no actual match declaration. And what I'm very concerned about is that please don't just throw her into a match, like a title match. And that's probably what's going to happen. But I love when the NWA does this job of bringing in talent and building them up. We just don't see enough of it. And of course, this week on Power, we'll get into that in a little bit. We had Sam Adonis challenge for the 10 pounds of gold. There was no fanfare. There was no build for this. I mean, Adonis said that he would be wrestling on Twitter or X for the NWA. The NWA acknowledged that he would be there, but there was no real build for this match. And I really felt that hurt, very much hurt that title match. And we'll talk more about that as we go through the show. Championship Wrestling from Jeremy's in the house. What is up, Jeremy? He says, leave a thumbs up, share with friends and family, stream this into your neighbor's TV. It all helps the algorithm. And I do appreciate that, Jeremy. Yeah, we are working on trying to build this thing as a community for you guys. Of course, we have our Discord. You can follow us on all social medias, and we're producing fresh content on the daily through our shorts, also on Instagram and on on TikTok. You'll see content there as well. So we're still working on building up this community. You guys are a part of it. And gosh, we are right now, as it stands, we are at 4,800 subscribers. And I got to be honest, when Nick Aldis called me out on This Is Pro Wrestling podcast and said we only had 2,000 followers, and to keep my mouth shut, never in my wildest imaginations would we be closing in on 5,000. And that's because you guys have helped grow this community, whether you're being active in the chat or sharing the video. It's so much appreciated. And thank you again. Let's see. Jar Jar Binks has said that the NWA won't be the home of Misa Kate. Misa wonder why. Kikuchi also says, I wonder if she'll be smoking that stinky green behind the 2700 arena. Oh, I think I know who you're talking about. Hollywood Haley J. Yeah, I don't know with maybe. I do know this, that the 2700, the ECW arena, has been home to many wrestling organizations in the past. The NWA has decided to move from the Chase to the ECW arena for the 76. I always thought it had something to do with the fact that it's 76 and Philadelphia, being the independence and all that stuff of the United States. But I don't know. I think maybe it's just an opportunity to run the ECW arena. Remember that building, rich with history and tradition for ECW fans. But remember, the ECW that we know today was kind of, I don't want to say it was birthed by the NWA, but they certainly used the NWA influence to help grow that ECW brand. The Spirit of 76. Thank you, Kikuchi. That's what I was kind of thinking of. But looking at this episode of Power, well, let's talk more about what's happening in the NWA, right? Because we mentioned some of the contract signings again. Alex Taylor is your new World Junior Heavyweight Champion. There are some events that are coming up very, very soon featuring some of the NWA talents. And, of course, this, I believe it's Friday, right? It is the 19th. Yeah, that this Friday, we have the trials at the Troubadour for NWA Joe Kazana Promotions. You're going to see the Country Gentleman, Silas Mason, who is your JCP Heavyweight Champion, Jack Stain, Kenzie Page, the Stu Crew, JCP Tag Team Champions. Also, former TNA standout Chase Stevens and Colby Carter. I'm not super familiar with Colby Carter, but we know some of the matches that have been announced for this event. We're going to see Jeremiah Plunkett taking on Chase Stevens. There's also going to be a 10-man 2-ring war. Oh, wait, nope. That's another event. Oops. That's for another show. But we know that Alex Taylor will be having his first junior heavyweight title defense at the Trials of the Troubadour as he defends the junior heavyweight title against Tyler Shoup, a standout from the Joe Kazana Promotions. So that is also a big deal. We also know that the next NWA Exodus Pro event is taking place Saturday. And it's being billed as Heaven and Angels, I think, or no, I'm sorry, New Religion. And we know that was way off. We have Kylie Page taking on Shay Carmichael. This will be part of the Chasing at Atlanta, the title tournament. We also will have the Country Gentlemen in action as they take on the JV team. And then, of course, leading up to the number one contenders match, we have Ashton Day taking on Richard Holiday. Now, this match, although it has not been officially confirmed, could have implications for the 76th anniversary show, because I got to be honest, if Richard Holiday is the number one contender, I don't know of a better place to have him get that opportunity against EC3 than at the 76th anniversary show at the 2300 Arena at the NWA 76. So we'll have to kind of wait and see what happens there, but it definitely looks like some of those matches are going to build to the continuity of the NWA and on the CW app, NWA Power, and these signature live events. Of course, we still have more events coming too. Of course, Crossfire Wrestling has events scheduled in October, early October. We have Mission Pro, where they're having more of the NWA Exodus Pro Mission Pro crossover. But going back to Crossfire, we know that we're going to see Jay Lethal make his debut at Crossfire, taking on Hunter Drake. This might be a NWA Women's Television title match. I don't know yet. Maxine Paler taking on Kylie Page. And then Juventud Guerrera defending his Crossfire Championship against Jackson Drake. All of that takes place on October the 4th. That leads us to Samhain, which takes place on October the 26th. And then, of course, tapings after that, we know that there are Looks at Kill. And then there's also supposed to be a special event taking place in New York. All that time and place is supposed to come up very, very soon. Rosville, what's up, man? You got your belt is on its way. That's great, dude. That's so cool. I did get to see the sneak peek, but I'm not allowed to talk about it because the first rule of replica title belts and custom belts are you don't talk about them. You look at them. And Tyler Shoop should call himself the Shoop Dog. Missed opportunity, Kikuchi. Missed opportunity. Bobby Petito's in the house. Rosville's in the house. What's up, guys? All good dudes. Glad you're here with us here for the pre-party. And then, so let's just get back to Power then, right? Because, of course, tonight's Power is going to be featuring a card for the decade, for the century, for the year. I don't know. I got to be honest. I was there live for this event. I was there live for this show, and this was kind of a lackluster portion of the card. Now, the main event I was very excited about, but some of these other matches, I just I'm left scratching my head. King Beez defending the tag titles against Reka, Tehaka, and Tiffiany Nieves. Now, that match is not something that you have the opportunity to feature some of the best wrestling talent in the world, and with no shade thrown at the King Beez, and really no shade thrown at Tiffiany Nieves. I feel like if you're going to put a team into that title picture, they should be a well, that's what I'm looking for, cohesive unit. They should have some wins and losses under their belts. They should have had these opportunities to shine. And when you have a match like this, there was no build for this match either, right? This match happened organically at the card because, of course, Reka, Tehaka and Tiffiany Nieves defeated Ruthie J and La Rosa Negra for this opportunity. But again, this matchup was nothing spectacular. In fact, there were parts of the match, and I haven't watched it through editing. I haven't seen it through the magical lens of Billy, but I do know that during that match, there were multiple times where Reka Tehaka looked flat out lost in the ring and not even understanding the official rules of a tag match. So I don't know how that's going to play out on TV. I don't know if they were able to hide it through creative editing. I don't know, but Reka was out in space. Yeah, I mean, there was a time where she went to make a tag and like didn't do the tag, didn't do it correctly. And when you guys watch the match, I mean, it was hard to think of anything in the match that was positive. I mean, there was even a point, and I don't remember if it was Danny B or I don't remember which member of the King Beez it was, but they were frantically screaming at Reka Tehaka to make a tag, and it was just not. It wasn't good. And when you look at this roster, and again, we talk about this week in and week out. Obviously, there's issues in the NWA when you have the television title kind of bottlenecked by Maxine Paler. Nobody has an opportunity to wrestle for it. So you're essentially eliminating one portion of your women's division. So really, it's only about the women's world title, the Burke, and the women's tag team titles, those baby blue belts. And we don't have a tag team division for the women. We have the King Beez, who, now that they are exclusive with the NWA, I don't know what that means for their relationship with Mission Pro going forward, but they were a Mission Pro tag team that was brought into the NWA by Jazz. But what other official tag team do we have in the NWA? I mean, we know for a brief time we had Ruthie J and La Rosa Negra teaming together. I don't know if that's still a thing or not. We, for a brief time, had Natalia Markova and Taylor Rising working together as a tag team. And even before that, I mean, the last tag team champions, are basically no more a tag team. And that's in response to Ella Envy and Kylie Page. Kylie Page and Kenzie are not a tag team because Kenzie's focusing on the Women's World Championship. Misa Kate is gone, and Misa Kate is a former champion with Maddie Rankowski, who's now in NXT. The Renegade Twins are signed to Ring of Honor. We saw, the Hex, Marty Bell, and the artist formerly known as Sienna. They're out there more or less working freelance, and there hasn't been a real tag team division built up ever, because they haven't done that. Going back to Pretty Empowered, the first women's pay-per-view where they crowned the tag team champions, they never really built a tag team division. So it kind of is a moot point almost to have these women in tag team wrestling who aren't, having a division for one tag team doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, obviously, with some of the moves that the NWA has made, some of the new inkings, the contract signings, perhaps we'll see something different. Of course, we're only hearing about what the NWA wants you to hear. Obviously, this information's all guarded. It's all being held close to the chest. I don't know if Haley J is here to challenge for the Women's World Championship, if Haley J is here to, start something with Kylie Page or Ella Envy, or maybe she's looking for a tag team partner. I don't really know what her purpose for being in the NWA is. We just know that she is on the card, and we'll see what is to come of that. Now, Bobby Petito, you have an excellent point. How about bringing in Heather Monroe and Ray Lynn to wrestle against Danny B and Charity King? Absolutely. Bobby, I mean, you're preaching to the choir over here. Ray Lynn and Heather Monroe would be a fantastic addition to the NWA. Now, the only thing that I could see being an issue is Ray Lynn does compete for WOW on a regular. So I don't know that that Ray Lynn would necessarily be that person to bring into the NWA. That doesn't mean you can't put Heather Monroe with somebody else, or it doesn't mean that you can't find another tag team. I mean, ideally, in a perfect world, where the NWA struggles the most is to have good, solid women tag teams, and something that WOW had a luxury of for quite some time were women tag teams. It seems like there would have been a natural bridge to do a crossover or some sort of crossover and bring in some WOW talent to challenge for the NWA women tag titles, and maybe send some of the NWA single wrestlers into WOW to challenge for the WOW championship. I mean, I think that could have been mutually beneficial and would have definitely brought an essence to the NWA of something fresh and new, but also some really solid wrestlers to WOW wrestling, which sometimes, they don't have a lot of seasoned veterans. A lot of the WOW wrestlers are still up and comers in the industry. So that might have been a good idea. It doesn't look like that's on the page, at least for now. But who knows? Hollywood Haley J was teaming with her mom in WOW. Maybe that was only part of the announcement. Maybe her mom will be heading to the 76th anniversary. Maybe they'll be challenging the King Beez. I don't know. And again, I don't want anybody to just walk into the NWA and get a title shot at anybody, right? Like, they should earn it. And at the very least, if it's going to happen, you should build it up so much that the fans are anticipating and excited by it. Going back to tonight's episode of Power, like, the world title match had very low expectations and didn't even deliver on that. Willie Bone brings up Vicky Lynn McCoy, The Beast, Reina Del Rey, Princess Aussie, and the TON. I don't know who that is. I'm familiar with the other ones. Princess Aussie has appeared on NWA programming in the past. Reina Del Rey has appeared, I believe, on NWA programming in the past through the Power Surge I don't know if any of that actually, I know Princess Aussie did. Princess Aussie took on Camille on a dark episode of the United Wrestling Network Primetime Live series. And I know a lot of those matches ended up back on Power Surge, not Power Surge, but what was that show called? Shockwave, NWA Shockwave. Willie Bowen brings up the Tonga Twins. There you go. Yeah, and I still think that they are available. I know that they left WoW, and actually they left WoW on not the most best of terms. So if you were to bring in the Tonga Twins, that would at least be fresh blood for the women's division. That would be at least new additions to the tag team that they are 100% a tag team duo. They're not just two singles thrown together. And I think that adds value to that women's division. I mean, am I wrong? Does anyone disagree with me on that? But again, as we look at tonight's, Reka, Tehaka, Tiffiany, Nieves both signed exclusive contracts with the NWA recently. I don't know if the plan is to keep them together as a tag team, but this matchup was not a very good one. And I'll be honest, it wasn't because of Tiffiany Nieves and it wasn't because of the King Beez. Call me a hater. But Reka Tehaka struggled in that matchup. And if you hadn't seen it, go watch it. It's on the CW app, available here in the United States and not anywhere else. Rosville is speaking about Alley Catch. Do not let the Alley Catch is a banger. Woohoo. I saw her in Seattle with Defy. Bobby says, how about Hollywood Haley J? Bring in Jimmy Wang Yang's daughter, Jazzy Wang, since Jazzy Wang did wrestle at the NWA 2021 at Empower. I don't know what Jazzy Wang's deal is. I think she's actually with NXT at the moment. I don't know 100%, but I think that's where she's at currently. And Rosville says, Kylan is dope too. Sucks that the NWA didn't keep her. I don't know if it's that they didn't want to keep her or they just couldn't afford to keep her. She was a hot prospect too, so I'm not sure. Now, these are talents to lock down. Paladin, it's not everyone could afford, Mercedes Moné. It's just not going to happen. But there are some viable talents out there that I think the NWA should be looking at. Willie says, bring in Freya the Slayer. See, I don't think that the NWA is struggling to find singles competitors. What they need to find is some more tag teams. And now, if the plan is to put Samantha Starr and Ella Envy together as a tag team, well, then there's one more addition. Of course, Samantha Starr has been kind of hit or miss. They tried to build that whole Miss Star gimmick, which didn't really seem to go anywhere. Paladin says, I'm being serious, Jay. I like both those ladies. Which ladies? Hollywood Haley J and Jazzy Wang? Because Jazzy Wang, I don't think is available. I think she's locked into NXT, if I'm not mistaken. And Hollywood Haley J, she will be at the 76th anniversary show. But if you're talking about someone else, Paladin, let me know because I'm curious. With that being said, sorry, it's been a long day, guys. I don't know if I said this earlier in the show, but our water here, the pipe didn't burst, but something happened. And when I got home from the gym today, my garage was completely flooded. So instead of taking like hours this morning to prepare for today's show, I'm kind of winging it. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm winging it. And I'm being honest with you because I'm exhausted. Cleaning up stuff out of the garage. I had a brand new leather couch just waiting to put into the old man cave. And it was sitting in the garage for a while. The box got wet. So now it's upstairs, but it's not put together, and it's just everything's a mess. Anyways, sorry. Those are first world problems. I totally get it. Nieves and Tehaka. Look, I really like Tiffiany Nieves, and I think Tiffiany Nieves could be the next NWA Women's World Champion. I think she could easily hold the Burke in her one-time matchup against I think the one-time matchup between Tiffiany Nieves and Kenzie Page was a fantastic match and very good insight to the future of that women's division. It's just unfortunate there's a lot of static on the outside because although there are some really good, solid single individual wrestlers as a a division for tag teams, it's very lacking. And that's kind of what we were talking about. Joe Rogan wings this show and now he makes $200 million a year. Well, we're not looking for $200 million, but it'd be nice just to make some nice money here. You know, I don't think this will ever replace my day job, you know, but it's kind of fun to get paid for something you would do anyways. You guys could ask Jaden and DKM when they're doing the Alliance Guys podcast. We would sit there before there was a pre-party and we would talk about the NWA ad nauseum on our messenger chats. And even before then, when I first started doing the podcast, you know, both Jaden and DKM were just regular viewers. They would call in because back then we had a call-in feature on Blog Talk Radio. So people would call in, we would talk wrestling, and then they became my co-host. Let's see. Sam Retro's in the house. What's up, Sam Retro? I'm working on the design. I've got it in principle, Sam. I think you're going to dig it. It's going to be very 76 inspired. So patriotism at its finest. Who wrestles EC3 at 76? That is an interesting question. I feel like Mr. Kikuchi has the right idea. Richard Holiday would definitely be my choice. I don't feel like they've done a very interesting job of building anybody up. However, what we've been presented with on television has been, for the last month, we had the Crockett Cup. And obviously there was a greater emphasis on the tag team aspect of the NWA than there was the World's Heavyweight Championship. There was also a month of TV taping filmed in Florida that we have not seen yet, has not been released yet to the public. And on the flip side, they also had that Return to the Indies show, not Return to the Indies, Return to the Territory show, which was a amalgamation of Power and some of the Territory stars. And, you know, like we'll see Juventud Guerrera on an episode of Power down the road. We will see PB Smooth on an episode of Power down the road. And it will be very, very interesting to see how that all plays out ahead of 76 because, look, we are in the last week of July. There are no more Crockett Cup episodes. So either we're going back to the territories next week or we're going to see what was happening in Sarasota, Florida, or was it Sarasota? I think it was Sarasota. Go back to Florida and have some of those matches. And maybe they built up some challengers for these titles. But, you know, we don't really know anything until we see it on TV. And it's not like they give that information out. Let's see. Tom Latimer should be the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. I love Tom Latimer. You won't hear me say anything negative about Tom Latimer. We did talk about his past a few weeks ago on the Alliance Guys podcast. Maybe it was last week. And the problem is I think that he has a negative stigma that's going to prevent the NWA from fully investing in him. And I think that's such a bad look. But at the same time, too, right now, I would not take the belt off of EC3 unless the person replacing him is a household name that will instantly get 1,000 more people to tune into the CW app. I just don't think that there's a better choice than EC3 at the moment. And when that better choice comes, then I would understand putting the title on that better choice. I feel like Tom Latimer needs to be built up a lot more if that's the direction the NWA wants to go. Rosville said, I used to co-host a couple of Blog Talk shows back in like 2010, maybe 2009. Yeah, I did it in 2007. That's when we started. Actually, maybe it was 2008. It was towards the end of the year, and the first episode was so dog shit bad. I mean, it was bad. Jay does not want 200 million. He would be happy with only 190 million. Look, Kikuchi, you've known me long enough. I'll take what I can get. Kikuchi goes back to the old message boards. Sean Mega does. Kikuchi does. Of course, DKM and Jaden all go back to those old message boards. So he knows enough. Richard Holiday would be a nice opponent. Yeah, I mean, look, Rarefied Air. I feel like the world is sleeping on this guy. I don't know why. I've seen him in the United Wrestling Network. get great reactions. I saw him in MLW get great reactions. I don't know why one of the bigger companies haven't looked at him as a potential signee. Now, I'm not saying that he is as amazing as MJF. He's not as strong or powerful as Alexander Hammerstone, but the guy has great promos, wrestles well, has a good look, obviously spent some time working on his look, and the guy looks like $1 million. You put him in the ring with EC3, and yeah, it's a very believable opponent, and it's a very believable match. I mean, it's better than what we got this on Power this past week. J-Cal, Scion is a bad man. I'm not really overly impressed with Scion, to be quite honest with you. Sam says Latimer versus EC3 at the 76. I mean, it could work, man. If there's anyone on the roster that makes sense, it's Tom Latimer. Unfortunately, I don't think that makes enough sense at the moment. It took 3 months to finish a pay-per-view. What the hell? Not 3 months. It took 4 weeks. They started in the pay-per-view filmed in May. They started the pay-per-view in June. And here we are in July, and it's wrapped up. There's still 2 more weeks in July. Kikuchi wants to know, what free agents would you like to see in the NWA? I think that's an interesting question. Put your answers in the comments. I'm very curious to see who you think would make a good addition to the National Wrestling Alliance. Honestly, somebody who has clearly not signed with the WWE or going to sign with WWE, someone who's not signed to AEW or TNA, someone who is a free agent. Like, the first person that comes to my mind is somebody like Shelton Benjamin, right? Shelton Benjamin has a lot of goodwill from his time in the WWE, and I think a lot of people underestimate how good he is in the ring. He's somebody I would absolutely love to see get a shot at the NWA and the 10 pounds of gold. But I would like to see more of that. Paladin says, Jay, did you hear Joe Alonzo left the NWA? Yeah, and it's kind of an interesting set of circumstances, because he left the NWA for the same reason that some of the other talents left the NWA during COVID. He felt that he wasn't being paid what he felt he deserved. And I will never fault a guy for believing in himself and buying into himself and investing in himself and saying, hey, look, this is an easy payday for the NWA, but it's stopping me from working with AEW. It's stopping me from getting a job with TNA. It's stopping me from working with MLW. So if he thinks that he could get more money and better his life by not working in the NWA, brother, go get it. I'm all about these talents growing and supporting themselves through pro wrestling. I know there's so many wrestlers out there on the indie scene who, they have that shoot job, which there's nothing wrong with that. And I totally understand that. But I think the goal of all the pro wrestlers is to be a full-time pro wrestler. And somebody like Joe Alonzo, who I think has a lot of potential, a lot of unrealized potential, but potential nonetheless, if he can make it out as a freelancer, then go do it, brother. Go get yourself paid, because that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, you've got the accolade. You won the World Junior Heavyweight title. You impressed William Patrick Corgan so much that he put that title on you. Now go do something. Go make your, like Cody Rhodes, right? Go from unwanted to undeniable. I know I kind of blew it, but you know what I mean. Rosville, I think you were talking about Richard Holiday. Yeah, I think so. Give me my flowers now. Exactly. That guy is so good. I'm ready for it. I even tweeted at him that I was hoping he would be the one to challenge for the 10 pounds of gold at the 76th. The Dynasty, that's right. Bring in Holiday. But he did stand next to MJF and Hammerstone. Yeah, I purposely mentioned those two guys because of the Dynasty that they were a part of. David, the Hammer Valentine in the house. Hey, Jay, is he any relation to you? No, David is not a related relative. That goes back to an old gag back in the day. I used to tell people that Greg the Hammer Valentine was my uncle. There used to be a telephone hotline. It was free. And it was from my local newspaper, but I think it was from papers all across the country. And they would give you like a certain category was baseball news or Hollywood gossip or, astrology and all that stuff. One category was wrestling. So I would get all this news, and I don't remember the guy's name. And it was a free phone call. It was a completely free charge, and he would basically spoil everything. So me and a few friends who would listen to the call with me would go into school having all the answers to what was happening in wrestling. And when people said, "How do you know?" I was like, "Oh, my uncle's Greg the Hammer Valentine." And we rolled with that for many years. What is going to be the new territory of the NWA? I don't think there's a huge rush to get into another territory for the NWA. I think, they have a nice little circuit where it's at. I mean, we just mentioned earlier in the show that Exodus Pro is running on Friday, or excuse me, Joe Kazana Promotions is running Friday night in Nashville, and then Saturday you've got Exodus Pro running on the very next day. So some of those talents who will be at the show in Nashville will make the trek to Cleveland, Ohio the following day, maybe that night, and they'll be wrestling again. And in reality, they could do a 3-day circuit between Chicago and Cleveland, Chicago and Nashville and in any one of those cities. And really, it's not just Nashville, but there's many cities in Tennessee that Joe Kazana Promotions run or Crossfire runs. And I know it's a long drive, but I mean, this is what territory wrestling is, and always will be. Doing towns, making circles, not circles. Making loops. That's the word. Making your loop. And so being able to represent the National Wrestling Alliance, whether it be Chicago, Cleveland, Nashville, Slyersville, or even, Florida and some of those dates. I mean, why not? And when you add to that, I don't know that it makes sense. Now, if I was going to bet on it, if you were asking me to make a prediction, well, they were in Forney, Texas, which is home for the Texas style of wrestling. TSW, I believe, is the promotion. They have ties to Jazz and Rodney's training school, the Dog Pound Wrestling. And it just seemed like that would be a very good, logical fit, considering you got Tim Storm and Jack Stane not too far. And, Jazz, and not necessarily Jazz in a wrestling capacity, but backstage, Rodney. You also have, the King Beez, who I think are local to Texas. So it would make sense. Whether they do that or not, it's entirely unclear, and it's just me guessing, but maybe. Let's see. Ryan Davidson would be a great addition to the NWA. I believe he's currently working with Reality Wrestling. They've been involved with a feud with Danny Limelight, if I'm not mistaken. And I think Reality Wrestling is very big on him, and I think the United Wrestling Network has plans in the future with Ryan Davidson. So I don't know if he's willing to justify that, to skip those plans to go work for the NWA. I mean, as it is right now, Reality Wrestling has a pipeline to NXT. We're seeing talents from NXT appear on Reality Wrestling, and we've seen some of the talents from Reality Wrestling get catapulted into NXT. So I don't know that anybody who's working for Reality of Wrestling is going to jeopardize that opportunity to work for the NWA, because there is no pipeline from the NWA to NXT or to the next level. The NWA, it's an island unto itself at the moment. Could there be a relationship with All Japan? Sure. Could there be a relationship with AAA? Sure. Is there a relationship right now? I don't know. It doesn't feel like it. Hey, Dr. Zirconium, will Billy Corgan be announcing a dog would be returning to the NWA? I cannot speak on behalf of Dr. Lawrence Zirconium. We've only spoken to a handful of times. I cannot speak for Jaden. Again, we've only spoken a handful of times. Jaden, I've spoken to in person. But Kikuchi, I don't foresee Dog ever rejoining the NWA. Now, never say never when it comes to pro wrestling, but I don't foresee it happening. Alonzo is booked for Hog Chicago show. Yeah, and that happened very organically, very quick. Hog is coming to Chicago. I mean, the flyer features Joe Alonzo still holding the the junior heavyweight championship, a title obviously that he does not carry anymore, but the advertising's already out there. I wouldn't have been surprised if that show was booked before he left the NWA. But again, that's how it goes. Wait, Alonzo left the NWA. Yikes. Thought he was someone they would build up over the years. Yeah, it felt like that was the plan. It definitely felt like that was the plan. Unfortunately, that's not where they're going to go with that. Let's see. Kikuchi, definitely not. So, you're hearing it from the horse's mouth. Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. I don't know who's running that account. It might be Dr. Lawrence Z. Might be one of his underlings. I don't know, but Sean Mega's in the house. Sean Mega goes back on the message board back in the day. Sean, when did you start listening to the podcast? Were you listening to us on Blog Talk Radio back in 2008? Rumor has it that J. Cal is Kevin Owens' doppelganger in a parallel universe. I mean, literally, I bought the figure just so that a J. Cal lookalike could be teaming with Blue Demon Jr. Because, I mean, that's what I would do. I would team with Blue Demon Jr., former NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Willie says Coastal Championship Wrestling should be affiliated with the NWA. It should, but it ain't. And it doesn't, if you're Coastal Championship Wrestling, what's the benefit to being associated with the NWA? Think about it. You're doing your own thing. Your title has meaning. It has some significance. What would benefit Coastal Championship Wrestling by being associated with the NWA? It's not like they're going to take the title off of EC3. It's not like the NWA is going to give up any control or power of the NWA to Coastal Championship Wrestling. And CCW is running like multiple times a week, not month, a week. So it doesn't make sense to me, but I could be surprised. Free agents. Edgestone, Fly Def, Promise Braxton, Ray Fury, just to name a few. We saw Ray Fury not too long ago in the NWA. I thought something more was going to be with him. It never materialized. Oh, hey, cool. It's hard to read your name. Brothers S.R. Contreras. I hope I'm saying that right. The brother BKL Contreras. Well, hey, what's up, man? Thanks for checking out the show. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. We love having friends of the show come around and check it out. I do appreciate that. NWA Dog New Jersey. Nah, it's not going to happen, Retro. Just enjoy Dog for what it is. They are a very cool wrestling company based out of South Jersey. Their champions have defended that title, that Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiator title, on events all over the Mid-Atlantic area. They continue to do so. They have 2 events coming up, one in September, one in October. If you live, within driving distance, I highly recommend checking out their shows. If you can't drive out there, make sure you check out their YouTube channel because they got good stuff out there. Mega, you were there for the first show? Or are you talking about the first podcast? Because, man, that was a brutal show. Very brutal. The Appreciate It's All Mine as part of the sports entertainment family. As you know, I know everything in wrestling company between AEW, WWE, ROH, New Japan, and much more. But unfortunately, I don't even watch the NWA. That's not uncommon. They want more people to watch. It's funny because there's a lot of people who continue to check out the NWA, but do so from a distance, and I understand why, because the show was better. It was better pre-pandemic, but I still feel like there's a lot of quality talent in the NWA. And I honestly think that they aren't far from making a much better show. They just need to tweak a few things, right? But it feels like once they get close, it's like 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And it just, I don't know. It's frustrating because as a fan, you want them to take off. Like, I want the NWA to succeed. I don't want to be the only one talking about the NWA. And there are more and more news articles coming out that are talking about the National Wrestling Alliance, which is great. But, that fervor fan base, that movement, it's kind of like us. It's kind of like this group right here. So as much as I want to see it grow, I also know that they need to do some more internal remedy. They need to fix things inside house before they're going to take off, and that's the case. So what's next for Natalia Markova since she failed to win the Crockett Cup? I don't know, man. Hollywood Haley J is going to be at the 76. Markova will be at the 76. Kenzie will be at the 76. Maxine Paler should be at the 76. I mean, maybe we'll see some title matches take off. The sons of Kevin Von Erich should be in the NWA. Marshall and Ross Von Erich. I think they're great talents. I feel like the iron was hot at the Crockett Cup, and now I don't feel like, especially when it was in Texas, now I don't feel like it's a big deal. Now, if they come in now, I mean, sure, it's still a great tag team to have involved with the NWA, but it doesn't feel special at this point. If they would have came in for the Crockett Cup and they were the ones to walk away as Crockett Cup champions, that would have been pretty cool, but obviously that didn't happen. Now, I'm going to take a break from your guys' comments just because I did want to get to the rest of Power. Of course, tonight we have this matchup between EC3 and Sam Adonis. Now, Sam Adonis is a freelance wrestler, but is closely associated with Lucha Libre AAA. In fact, he's been involved with a lot of Triple Mania main events. He is known to have a huge heel following in Mexico, but it doesn't translate into Forney, Texas. There was nobody there to see this title matchup. Now, you might have been there to see EC3. You might have been there to see the 10 pounds of gold, but I promise you, nobody was there to see this matchup. And again, as someone who has traveled, look, I got to see EC3 defend the 10 pounds of gold in Nashville against Jay Bradley, right? I got to see EC3 defend the 10 pounds of gold. Where did I see him defend? In Lake Elsinore, California. And I saw him defend the title in Forney, Texas. And of those 3 title defenses that I was there live for, this match was obviously clearly the worst. And I don't know if it was because Sam Adonis did not have his working boots, if they just did not have good chemistry. Again, there was almost zero build for this match. The excitement level was zero coming into this. And of course, it's the Crockett Cup. That's the draw. The draw was tag team wrestling. But if you're going to bring in an opponent for EC3, if you're going to announce Sam Adonis, a guy who is closely affiliated with Lucha Libre AAA, why not build off of that? Why didn't we get more promos with Adonis in Mexico talking about how he's coming to the U.S. to take the 10 pounds of gold off of EC3? Why didn't we get promos from EC3 talking about Adonis? There was zero build for it. So not only did they disappoint us with zero build for this match, zero excitement for this match, but then when you watch the match, there's nothing. Adonis wrestled very pedestrian in this match. EC3, a champion who I've come to respect and appreciate, again, didn't do anything over the top. Having watched his matches in Japan, having watched his matches in some of these other wrestling promotions in Italy, even watching him in Lake Elsinore, California on a know-nothing wrestling show, the matches felt so much more important and the title felt so much more in peril in those moments than it did against Adonis at a major NWA event. I'm disappointed in the choice of Adonis, and maybe he didn't take this match seriously. Maybe there was an existing injury we didn't know about and he was wrestling hurt. I don't know, but I did not feel that the build for this match was there, and I did not feel like the quality of this match was there. And you can go watch the CW and you can make that decision based on the match itself, whether you thought it was good or not. But I'm telling you right now, I was severely disappointed, and it ended very abruptly. And it wasn't super compelling. There was nothing about this match that got me excited. So there's 2 duds on this this week's CW NWA Power. 2 duds. There's a lot of comments that I still need to get to, and I will get to that momentarily. But I also want to play this video because, I was there. DKM and I were there in Forney, Texas. We were there, and watching the Southern Six become the NWA Crockett Cup champions was kind of interesting. Now, look, Blunt Force Trauma gets eliminated by the Immortals. and Blunt Force Trauma were your NWA World Tag Team Champions. Never in the past have the World Tag Team Champions won the Crockett Cup. So it's no surprise that that didn't come to fruition this year. But the returning tournament champions from last year, Murdochs, took on, Alex Taylor and Kerry Morton. And, people would say that might be the weakest version of the Southern Six because there's no Silas Mason. But, those guys endured. The country gentlemen could not beat them. Even taking the heat from Murdoch and Mike Knox could not hold the Southern Six down. And so when this happened, man, I was there and I was blown away because never in a million years did I think Taylor and Morton were going to win the Crockett Cup, but here we are.
It's happened. You have won the 2024 Crockett Cup Tag Team Tournament. Gentlemen, congratulations. I guess we're stuck with the Southern Six permanently.
Now, David, I'm not surprised. All these losers in the tag team belong to Six. Those losers in the tag team belong to Six. Six is a high-flying tag team, man. Hey, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Hey, welcome to our world, bitches. You're now in Southern Six country. Yeah, you got that right. And only remember this. This is just the beginning. We got a lot to go to conquer before we leave here. Thank you.
Your Crockett Cup winners, the Southern Six.
I mean, what a year for Alex Taylor, right? Winning the Crockett Cup, becoming NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion. I mean, man, and the Southern Six, they started this year off, we're talking about from the 75 to the 76. Kerry Morton lost the World Junior Heavyweight title at the 75th anniversary show. Silas Mason picked up the national title. And, through the course of the year, Silas Mason used that national title to buy in for a world title match with EC3, lost. Taylor wins the junior heavyweight title in Chicago, wins the Crockett Cup with Kerry Morton. And Ricky called it. He said, hey, look, there's a lot more gold to be won. And with the ever-growing NWA territories, I mean, Silas Mason is still your Joe Kazana Promotions NWA Southwest champion. I mean, there's Southeast champion. There's still gold for these guys to win, and looks like we're going to see more of it. Sean Mega says, I think Tyrus really hurt the credibility among fans, and sure he did, 100%. with 100% certainty, he did hurt the credibility of the fans. That's just the way it is. But they need to move on from that. And of course, you know, if anything, the last year has proven to us is that the NWA has a wealth of talent, and they just need to point them in the right direction. I hear the NWA may have the 76 may have a sell the NWA chant, and man, it'd be sad if it did happen. But I know a lot of people who would jump in on that. Some companies listen to podcasts that review their products. I wonder if Corgan ever watches your show. Paladin, I'm going to tell you that somebody from the NWA watches this show with 100% certainty, but it is not Billy Corgan. I don't think Billy Corgan would know me if I walked up to myself and said hi to him again. And I've talked to him, seen him at multiple venues. We've shaken hands. I have a photo somewhere of us together. It's just I don't think I'm on his radar. Jammin' Music Man's here. What's up, Jammin'? Probably do able to watch the NWA, but only the highlight because it's really hard to find through channel by channel, but I could probably check it out, Jay. I'm telling you, man, it's CW app. It's easy to find. It's on your schedule. I mean, new episodes drop every Tuesday, but you can tune in anytime. Fly Death is a better team than Von Erichs. I need to check out the Fly Death. I'm not familiar with them. I will be at a West Coast Pro show. West Coast Pro meets Prestige meets another company that I'm not familiar with. I'm going to be in San Francisco this Saturday night for West Coast Pro. I'll have a review of the show and some comments about it later. You guys stay tuned for the podcast to see that one. There we go. Did you ever see the All Japan show that ECW wrestled on? EC3 wrestled on, excuse me. Yes, I saw the title match. If you check out our Discord, we have a link for you to watch that match as well. Kikuchi points out another good promotion to check out is Joe Kazana Promotions. It's on YouTube. It's like a 30-minute episode. It's a very easy watch. If you have 30 minutes, you're watching some of the best of the NWA. Jammy Music Man agrees. He loves the Joe Kazana Promotions. Sean, completely disagree. This was EC3's best match. Sean, I love you like a little brother. I cannot disagree more. This was such a lackluster moment for the NWA. This was a huge swing and a miss as far as I'm concerned. There's so many other talents out there that would have put on a more compelling match. And the lack of build really hurt the credibility for me. Everything that has to do with Corgan directly in booking is not that good. Well, the problem is this, right? And I mean this with 100% authenticity, that everything that we like about the NWA, it's because of Billy Corgan. Everything you like about the National Wrestling Alliance, Billy Corgan gets the credit. But to the detriment, everything that sucks about the NWA, it's Billy Corgan. Basically, the buck stops with the boss. He's the one that puts on these shows. He's the one that's talking to the director. He's the one talking to the producer. He's the one telling these guys what he expects, what he anticipates. And so when the show is good, it's a reflection of his creative. And when it's bad, it's also a reflection of his creative. So it's like it's a two-edged sword. He gets all the credit, but he gets all the blame as well. I'd like to see the NWA sign Jack Cartwheel. I don't think Cartwheel will take a spot in the NWA. He is getting bookings from Ring of Honor and AEW as well as Lucha Libre AAA. He works for the Crash. For him to take bookings to be exclusive with the NWA would eliminate all of that. And I think those are bigger paydays than what the NWA can provide. I'm not trying to shit talk the NWA. Again, this is the promotion that we cover the most. It's one of my favorites, but let's be realistic. Working part-time for Ring of Honor or AEW could be more lucrative than working full-time for the NWA. That they were the Outrunners for a minute. Snitsky, it wasn't Snitsky, it was Mike Knox, who was in the WWE around the same time, part of that ECW expansion that didn't work out. If Murdoch went to the gym as much as he claimed, he wouldn't look like a melted ice cream cone in the summer heat. Paladin, that's brutal, brother. I think Alex Taylor will be Billy's guy. The other two will probably go to WWE. I mean, maybe, man, but look, Alex Taylor's one of these diehard NWA dudes. You got to remember, his success with the Southern Six is recent, but remember, he was part of the ill-begotten. Alex Taylor, Rush Freeman, and Coach Jeremiah Plunkett. Before that, it was Captain Yuma, the spaceman. I mean, that ill-begotten group kind of has launched some of the careers in the NWA, now Alex Taylor being one of them. And yeah, man, I think Alex Taylor has a ton of upside, and we're just now starting to see that. And we'll see how long this junior heavyweight title run reign goes for. But who knows? We might see Morton and Taylor as your next U.S. tag champions, maybe even the world tag champions. They won the Crockett Cup. I think they're entitled to a title shot. Jam, and I do miss those NWA pay-per-views as well. Quick plug for Dog Pro Wrestling. If anyone is looking for great wrestling, come to see Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators' next events on September 28th at the Sacred Heart Church in Riverton, or on October 18th at the Pennsville Middle School. We're not doing legacy supplement reads here. Paladin Chase Face reading my comments. It's yours and some others, but it's always fun. All right, guys, we went a little bit late today, and that's totally cool because I enjoy hanging out with you guys. Thanks so much for being here on Tuesday. Tuesdays are always a fun time because it's just you and I and everyone else. But it was a great time talking with you guys. Of course, if you haven't watched the NWA on the CW app, go do that now. You can check it out online or on your electronic device like your cell phone or tablet, the CW app. Always a good time talking NWA with you, the hashtag NWA fam. Of course, this Thursday, programming note, J. Cal will not be on the Alliance Guys podcast. As aforementioned, I will be up in the air flying to Oakland or San Francisco, California, as I will be at watching the Angels take on the Oakland Athletics for one more time, for maybe the last time ever, and at the Alameda Coliseum. And then later that night, I'll be at West Coast Pro Wrestling, as they do a joint show. I think Shelton Benjamin's on the card. Alex Shelley will be on the card. Royce Isaacs will be on the card. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hit that thumbs up. I would appreciate it. If you guys love the show, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It helps the algorithm. And if you want to financially help support the show, we do have some great merchandise on the merch shop, as well as you could buy yourself a replica title from Trophy Smack, or you could buy yourself some good old-fashioned W. It does help the show, and it helps me keep the show running. So again, both those things are appreciated, and I appreciate you. So have yourself a great rest of your Tuesday, and we'll see you at the matches. Thanks for checking out the Pre-Party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. You should hit that subscribe button and join our community. I also want to remind you that we recap NWA POWERRR every Thursday at 8 p.m. in the live stream. We try to stay social, so find us at the Alliance blog. And until next time,